These are my flashcards. They're in the wrong order, so I'm gonna fix them. Okay. Have you ever wondered whether making a change was worth it? This is a question that Texas has been contemplating over the last couple of years concerning the voucher system. This should be important to us because as future taxpayers, we want to make sure that our tax dollars are being put to good use. After hours of research, I've formed an opinion stating that all children should have access to an appropriate and effective education system. But quite frankly, the voucher system is not the way to do that. Instead, it discriminates against minorities, cuts into public school funding, and reduces student educational achievement. So, first, let's talk about how the voucher system discriminates against minorities. First, it reduces access to educational opportunities for minority students. Part of this is because underprivileged students don't have the disposable income to use money towards the voucher system. Because even though the voucher system gives them a certain amount of money for private school tuition, it typically does not cover the entire year, meaning it comes out of their parents' pockets. This means that it disproportionately favors the wealthy. According to Andrew Atterbury in 2022 in Arizona, 45% of the voucher scholarship applicants came from the wealthiest quarter in the state, according to an analysis published by Politico, and all of those students got vouchers. This does not support students with disabilities. Students with disabilities are often excluded from private schools, meaning that they don't get to have the same opportunities that other students would have. They forfeit their rights mandated by the federal government, but most of the time before they find out, it's too late, if they are even accepted into the program. Lastly, it disadvantages LGBTQ youth, thus limiting access to education, since they decline to admit students for any reason, since they don't have an overhead viewing them like a public school board. This happened in Florida when they hit the national news for banning LGBTQ students, and the same thing happened in Illinois. Now that we've discussed the prejudices within existing voucher systems, let's talk about the negative impact this has on school funding. Vouchers cut into public school funding budgets and are unsustainable. Public school funds are redirected to voucher systems, which means that families are given vouchers in case they want to send their kids to a private school instead of their current public school. It's like stealing from the poor to give to the rich, a reverse Robin Hood, if you will. Vouchers also result in less public school funding. When adjusted for inflation, the contribution of state funding for students in the state of Arizona has plummeted over the last 4 years. Arizona's $1 million experiment has shown us this. It also negatively impacts school districts' budgets. Illinois ended its voucher system in November of 2023 for this reason. In Arizona, lawmakers budget closing $1.4 million deficit. The president of Illinois Education Association stated in June of 2024 that 80% of public schools in Illinois were underfunded. Now that we have covered how vouchers have a detrimental effect on the school's budget, we'll analyze how voucher systems have failed to enhance learning outcomes for students. Vouchers do not improve learning outcomes for students for success. Although maybe 20 years ago we thought that this was the case, recent studies show differently. According to Joshua Cohen, published in Times Magazine 2023, new evaluations of vouchers in DC, Indiana, Louisiana, and Ohio show some of the largest test score drops ever seen to research record. These drops are leaning into a parallel comparison with the effects of the pandemic and national disasters like Hurricane Katrina. In more robust research, it was found that vouchers made no difference on student achievement. According to Erickson et al. In 2022 in the Journal of Research for Education Effectiveness, negative test scores from using Louisiana voucher system impacted all of the subjects negatively in all of their coursework over the course of 4 years. Furthermore, voucher-endorsed private schools education in Louisiana is below that of private schools, which are ranked 40th in the nation, meaning that it's pretty bad. The impact of vouchers on college enrollment is inexistent. Some researchers suggest that vouchers are not statistically significant for college readiness, despite advertising for a better education. Now that we've discussed how voucher systems negatively impact student learning outcomes, it is important to remember that they also are discriminatory against minorities and they cut into public school funding. Therefore, we can confidently say the voucher system does not belong in the Lone Star State. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes. How many states in the U.S. have approved vouchers?
There are actually 29 states in the U.S. that have approved vouchers. I won't name them all for you for the sake of time, but some of them include Arizona, Louisiana, and Ohio.
Thank you. Why do vouchers not improve student outcomes?
One of the reasons vouchers have not shown an improvement in student outcomes is that they don't have a board of people to oversee what's happening. They're simply private entities, and so there's no real way for them to determine a student's success and making sure that those students are learning useful information that they can apply later on in their life.
Great. What is the average duration of a school created to accept vouchers?
Across the entire nation, it's been about 4 years until they jump on the opportunity to close down the voucher system because it has depleted their funding so much.
Have they conducted audits on the voucher system and how these funds are spent?
There have been several audits that I've seen in my research conducted. Mainly, what most of those focus on are some of the wealthier people running those voucher schools taking advantage of that situation simply to gain more money instead of being focused on the students learning and making sure, like I said, is effective and transparent.
Thank you.
Thank you.